All right, went shopping. Got me some 40 roller chain because I figured I should replace the roller chain anyway. Got me a chain breaker, 2 bearings, one for the rear main shaft and then one for the auger. And then I got me some chain connecting links. So I think we are ready to put this blower back together. All right, here's the hard part. Getting this whole assembly back in here and lined up with that little hole. So, wish me luck. It's one of those times where additional hands would be very, very nice. So instead we're just going to lift it straight up like this. And I'm going to attempt see how many parts we can lose in the process. Hopefully y'all are getting your entertainment in for the day. That's what the goal is, right? All right. So basically I'm going to leave this out for right now against my better judgment. And we're going to pull this back and start that's in there. See if I can't get this one in place. There we go. Something along those lines. All right, now what I can do, because now this impeller is very tight in there because of the flaps on there. So I have to line up the bearing in the back. See what that looks like. All right, so based on that, I should be able to go straight back. Throw all my parts right here. I'm exploring here. So what I did is I took the outer cover of the rear bearing off, and then, because like I said, these bolts aren't gonna, there's no access to them once you get done. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push the bearing on there and get it seated where I think it needs to sit, which we're gonna go ahead, before we do that, well, actually what we're gonna do is we're going to put the bolts in here. That way we know exactly where it all needs to go. Then we'll push the bearing on, and hopefully my flaps are not too tight. I've already cut them once and they seem like they would be okay. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put these back together and we'll go from there. All right, let's see if we can get this bearing on here now that everything is good to go. I think that's about as far as my, no, it goes a little bit farther. Okay. There we go. Just had to get over that little there we go, just like that. Okay, so now the key is we have to get this flange back on there without dropping any of the carriage bolts out. Because if we drop any of the carriage bolts out, then I have to go and take everything back apart again. Which is not going to make me a happy camper. And there's two. There's three. Now we just got to get them tightened down, which I think I can do. I didn't think that was going to work as well as it did, so that is certainly good news. So I'm going to get that tightened up, and then we're going to go see how it spins over and see if I need to take any of the trim the baler belting. All right, so I'm working on getting this hub assembly in here, and so I've put the key back in the keyway. Now I've run that down, and the key thing is you don't want the keyway to be blocked by the impeller itself. To get everything to line up right, I'm going to go ahead and put the support back in. And you have to understand that these blowers, the 47 blowers, have undergone several changes since they were first introduced in the 90s. So the original 47 blowers were on the 425s, 445s, 455s. Well, because they were on those machines, they've been out for 30 years, and so there are design changes in those 30 years, that have occurred. So now let's tighten the top parts up. All right, so now, theoretically, what we need to do is we need to lock our auger onto the impeller. So let me do that. All right, so I figured before I went too much further, I would talk about another modification you can do if you don't have a gearbox. The newer 47 blowers have a gearbox, and that's modifying the sprocket here. So sprocket basically accounts for the number of teeth, okay? And what you can do is you can modify this down to a 36 tooth sprocket. I believe this is a 40 or 42 tooth sprocket. To do that though, what you need to do is you need to buy the sprocket, make sure it's for 40 roller chain, and then you have to buy the hub, and then you weld the hub to the sprocket. The shaft diameter is 1 inch. So there is, you want to make sure that you can get it level, because you don't want the shaft wobbling, or the sprocket wobbling on the shaft, because that'll wear your chain out real fast. So that is, you don't want to do that. But what I want to do now is we need to get everything back on the machine. So everything up front is done. We've got everything tightened down. So we only have the shaft here to reassemble, and basically we have to put the sprocket on, we have to put the tensioner mechanism on, and the new chain, and then we can put our upstop, and then we will be done for the day until we need the blower. So there is a key, so put that in the keyway. Make sure, yeah, like that right there. Something like that. Then I'm just going to see if I can't get this on here. Yeah. Now the question is, how far do I need to put it in? And there's just a little bit of a lip there, so I don't need to pound it on too terribly far. About right there. And there are 2 set screws. Now before I put those set screws in though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my new roller chain. Alright, let's get our little chain breaker busy here. There we go. I'm guessing this is the original chain, since there are no added links in here. Or connecting links, whatever you want to call them. It is just all original chain. And basically I guessed that this is 40 or 40 roller chain. That is my guess, at least. Hopefully I am correct. I didn't want to take this entire thing into the farm store. And plus I didn't have a chain breaker. I thought I did, but I could not find one. So now our new chain, this is the moment of truth. Because I've had some chain that I fixed something with a couple of years ago, so I don't know where any of that stuff is at though. So, knew it was. This chain was, I don't know, 18 bucks, something like that. They had a different brand there that was 27. Let's see here, does this... Oh, hey, they include one. This looked like the same chain. Looks like the same chain to me. Perfect. That is what we wanted then. And see if I can get my new roller chain over the top here, which I don't think I can. I cannot. So let's see if I can just fish it around real quick. Like that. Perfect. So now my new roller chain's on there. So now I can put the set screws in. The reason I am not doing the modification, in fact, when I went to go get the bearings, the farm store actually had a 36 tooth 40 roller chain sprocket and the correct hub, and it was really hard for me just to walk away. The reason I'm not going to do it in this particular case is because you will need, when you speed up the blower, so in other words, if you're making this smaller, there's more revolutions for every input revolution. The bigger you make it, the slower it goes, so it will speed up the impeller. But the faster you make it go, the more power it requires. Well, if I want to keep this on my 332, which I did have a lot of fun with it when I had it on the 332, basically, I don't think, if I speed this up, I think the performance would certainly suffer on the 332. You have to remember that's only 16 horsepower instead of the 20 plus that you're going to use in, say, the 455 or the X748. So there are some challenges there, you know, kind of trade-offs of what I want to do and what I should do. So I used caution and decided that I was not going to do that modification at this point in time. Granted, I don't think it would be terribly difficult to do that modification. I mean, it is a matter of welding them together, but overall that's pretty minor. All right. Now we can put our tension mechanism back in. It's right here. We're just going to kind of set it in here for the moment, because what I want to do is I want to get my chain this is going to be the challenging part. All right, got the tensioner mechanism back on. I finally got the chain figured out. Evidently, when I was measuring out the chain earlier, I just got too small of a piece. It must have kinked up or something, which this old one was so rusted that I'm not overly shocked that it probably kinked up. But I laid them out side by side, and basically I was about 1.5 inches short on the new one. So what I did is I actually just instead of wasting one of my good clips, I went ahead and just pounded them back together, so it should be just fine. But I think now let's see how it turns over. It is somewhat tight. I did not show it on video, but I did get the eccentric locking collar behind that pulley, or that gear, tightened down. So let's see how it looks. I'm just going to listen. Definitely has a squeak somewhere. It's not too bad. I think the squeak is from the internals on the flap, but overall I think I'm happy with the progress. I can put the upstop back on there and we can call this project good. To kind of give you an idea of how well the flapper works, you see I have most contact all the way through right there, and if we look down in there you can see the flappers coming up and it'll shove it out, and so I think we should do pretty good with this modification. So I think I'm going to call it good. And we're going to call this project done. I think it's in better shape than it was. New drive chain, new drive chain, couple new bearings. I ended up replacing, I think I put it on video, but this bearing right here on the auger bearing, I replaced this bearing. Inspected all the rest, they were fine, new chain, and we should be set. So, and repaired the cracks in the housing. So, I don't think we need to do anything else. Thanks for watching.